Very good morning, students. Welcome to Gyanmajari Vidyapith Mahuva online digital platform. As you know, I am your science teacher Vatsal Trivedi और आज हम लोग स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं हमारा फिजिक्स का नया यूनिट फिजिक्स यूनिट नंबर 1 फोर्स एंड साउंड, जिसके अंदर आज हम स्टार्ट करेंगे एज पर द एनसीईआरटी चैप्टर नंबर 11 फोर्स एंड प्रेशर विच आर अवेलेबल इन योर सप्लीमेंट्री बुक पेज नंबर 80 और SB1. फर्स्ट पॉइंट स्टार्ट करते हैं फोर्स पुश एंड पुल. फोर्स क्या होता है, पुश क्या होता है और पुल क्या होता है. व्हाट डू यू ऑब्जर्व इन बोथ इमेजेस इन बिलो. केस 1 और केस 2 के अंदर आप क्या इमेज कर रहे हो. फर्स्ट, द पर्सन पुशिंग द डोर एंड द सेकंड केस द पर्सन पुलिंग द डोर. अभी आपको मालूम हो गया है कि पुश और पुल क्या होता है. सो push, when we push the door, moves away from us, and when we pull the door, moves towards us. There is a difference. In the both case we have to cause the object, that is the door, here to move. दोनों में डोर का मूवमेंट हो रहा है बट उसकी डायरेक्शन अलग अलग हो रही है. दिस इंटरेक्शन ऑफ पुशिंग और पुलिंग ऑब्जेक्ट्स इज कॉल्ड फोर्स. So what is the force? The interaction of pulling or pushing an object is called force. Classify each of them, push or pull. यहाँ पे दोनों फिगर, एक के अंदर पुश है और एक के अंदर पुल है. So the girl pulling the weights towards herself and the players kicking or pushing the ball away from the himself. Next, a force of push and pull which involves the interaction between the two bodies of one receiving the force is object on the of the force. Here the ball receiving the force, बॉल को हम फोर्स अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, बॉल फोर्स ले रहा है, the force from the player, hence the object of the force, then object જે હશે એને force લાગશે. So now components of forces. What is the similar in those two shots? ये दोनों में similarities क्या है. The direction of which balls move the same in both in these shots. બેઉ ઇમેજમાં ડાયરેક્શન બેની સેમ છે. What is the difference between those two shots? और दोनों में डिफरेंस क्या है. So first is a straight drive or second is a defensive shot. So the ball has moved lesser distance and in a straight drive the ball has moved a greater distance. There is a difference. The direction is the same but the speed of two bat determines how much force greater or lesser is applied the ball. वो किस पर डिपेंड करेगा, हमने कितना फोर्स बॉल पर अप्लाई किया है थ्रू द बैट, उस पर डिपेंडेड है. This part of the force component describing the amount of force being applied on ball called the magnitude of the force. कितना फोर्स अप्लाई किया जिसको हम क्या बोलेंगे, magnitude. The component determines how strong the force, greater the magnitude, greater the force. What is the similarities in those two shots? The distance in which balls in a same but this in both these shots. What is the difference between two shots? एक cover drive है, एक on drive है. The ball has moved on a right and the ball has moved on the left side. So the distance moved is the same but the direction in which ball has moved is a difference. This depends on the direction of force applied by the bat. So force has a magnitude on a direction and the change any one of two or both causes a change in the force applied to the object. Now solve practice question number 1. Take the option below which force is involved. And the 1.2, classify the following actions as a push or pull. So 1.1a, riding the bicycles, correct, yes. Then chewing the gum and स्ट्रेचनिंग अ रबर बैंड, जिसके अंदर फोर्स इन्वॉल्व है. देन ओपनिंग अ टिफिन बॉक्स, इट इज अ पुल. स्ट्रिकनिंग अ शॉर्ट कैरम, इट इज अ पुश. एंड sucking on a straw, it is a pull. So now let's watch one video and understood the what is the concept of the video.
Hello students, we have learned about how force acts on an object and makes it move. What do you think will happen when more than one force acts on an object? Let's find out. Here are two friends, Rahul and Samit, applying force to the same box and trying to move it. Can you tell in which direction the box will move? The box moves in the direction of the force applied by both Rahul and Samit. Why do you think this happens? Look closely, you can see that the forces applied by Rahul and Samit are acting in the same direction. When the forces are acting in the same direction, the combined force, called the net force, is equal to the sum of the forces applied. So, in this case, the net force will equal to the sum of the force applied by Rahul and Samit. This net force is like a single force acting on an object. Now, let's take another example. Here, Rahul and Samit are applying force to the box in opposite direction. Samit from the left and trying to push the box to the right. Rahul from the right and trying to push the box to the left. Tell in direction will the box move this time? Any guesses? Let's say Samit applies a greater force. In which direction do you think the box will move and why? The box will move in the direction of the force applied by Samit, since it is greater in magnitude. What if Rahul were to apply the greater force? In which direction would the box move and why? The box moves in the direction of the force applied by Rahul, since it is greater in magnitude. So why does the box move in different directions in the two cases? Is there any relationship between the direction in which the box moves and the magnitude of the force applied? When the forces act in opposite direction, the magnitude of the net force is equal to the differences of the magnitude of the forces applied. And the object moves in the direction of the force with greater magnitude. Let's summarize what we have learned so far. When multiple forces act on an object, the combined force on the object, which can be the sum or the difference of the forces applied, is called the net force. This net force is like a single new force acting on the object with its own magnitude and direction. The magnitude and the direction of this net force are given in the table. When the forces are in the same direction, the magnitude is the sum of the forces applied, and the direction is same as that of the forces applied. When the forces are in opposite direction, then the magnitude is the difference between the forces applied, and the direction is the direction of the greater force applied. Now, let's see what happens which direction do you think the box will move and why? This time the box doesn't move at all. Why do you think this happened? Let's take a closer look. The forces applied by Rahul and Samit are equal, but they're acting in opposite directions. As the forces are opposite, the magnitude of the net force is equal to the difference of the forces applied by both of them. The forces cancel each other out, hence box doesn't move. Here, the net force is zero. Such forces, which are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, and which cancel each other out, are called balanced forces. The net force acting on the object in such cases is zero. So today we learned about the net force. Thank you.
Now, the effects of forces, the next point. After the conclusion of net forces on the same direction, equal forces on the opposite direction, then अनइक्वल फोर्सेस फॉर द ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन, ये तीन चीज हमने देख ली. अभी हम देखेंगे द इफेक्ट्स ऑफ फोर्स. फोर्स की असर क्या होती है. व्हाट इज द हैपनिंग टू द बॉल बिफोर एंड आफ्टर द फोर्स इन अप्लाइड इन ईच केस. So the ball moves its position as the player kicks it, and the ball comes to rest at the goalkeeper catches it. In which direction is the ball moving before and after the forces applied on each case? So when a player kicks the ball, its speeds change and moves in the direction of the force applied. And whenever the players deflects the ball with his head, it moves around the same speed but in a different direction. What happened when we squeeze a something? The dough change in shape. The squeezing can change the shape of an object. So as per the conclusion, a force can make an object move from the rest, make a moving object come to the rest, make the shape on object, increase and decrease the speed of an object, and change in the direction of moving object. ये पांच चीज फोर्स की वजह से इफेक्ट होती है. Now let's solve the practice question number 2 on your supplementary book, page number 4. Three friends are playing a tower. The force applied by the each are shown in the figure on the right. What do you think will win? In which direction will the tug move? The tug will move the left side since the force applied by the two shortest friends is greater. Now explain how we can find the magnitude and direction of the net force acting on object. So answer आएगा sum of the factor same as the forces and difference of the forces and direction of greater forces. सभी आंसर आपको आपकी फेयरबुक के अंदर डायरेक्टली लिखने हैं और देन आफ्टर वो सारी चीज़ के फोटोग्राफ्स क्लिक करके एज होमवर्क सेंड करने होंगे. इट इज़ कंपलसरी. List the explain the effects of a force can have an object. So force causes the following effects on object: change in the shape of the object, change in the state of the motion of object, change in direction, change in speed, increase or decrease. This can be explained using example. First, the force applied by the fingers while the squeezing the lemon causes to the shrink. It is a effect like change in shape, and the change in direction hitting a cricket ball causes the move of a direction different direction. Then the change in speed, the force granted by the engine of a car can be increased and decreased. The shape the speed of car. The next question 2.4, what effect does not the force have on the object in each of the following case? So first के अंदर आएगा change in the state of motion, next आएगा change in the shape, and the last one change in the state of motion. Now the next point, contact and non-contact forces. What is happening in two images? There is some movement in a both case, which means a force acting on an object. What is the difference between those two cases? The source of the force, object on which applied in contact, such as a force called contact forces. And the second figure, the source of the force and the object on which it is applied are not in contact. Such as a force are called non-contact force. So there is a force can be two types, contact force and non-contact force. So now the next is a type of contact force. So how is the kid being able to move the swing? The kid using the muscles of the body apply force on swimming. वो अपने muscles के use कर रहा है. Such a force is called the muscular force. Now we analyze need to be the contact with the object to apply force on it using the muscles of our body. Hence the muscular force is a contact force. वो contact होने के बाद force apply हो रहा है. That's why it is called muscular force or contact force. Next is a frictional force. Why does a moving ball slow down after the time? Because the ground exerts the force on a ball in opposite direction, causing it slow down. So force between two surfaces rubbing against each other is called the frictional force. So now solve practice question number 3 on your supplementary book, page number 6. Question 3.3, which of the following is example of non-contact force? So answer आएगा C, a ball falling from the height. Then the 3.5, when we use the eraser to erase something written in our notebook, what is the difference of force at play? We use the muscular force to rub eraser on the paper. There is a force of friction acting between the eraser and the paper. ये आंसर आएगा. So now the next point is that types of non-contact forces. So bring the magnet and closer the iron fringes. What do you observe? So the fringes move towards to the magnet. The iron fringes move toward through the magnets. Do you have to touch the magnet, the fringes to move then? No, the fringes move towards the magnet without the touching and the magnet to the fringes. So it is a non-contact. Without contact वो अपने आप अपनी ओर attract हो गई, force apply हो गया. So now take some magnet and bring the near the magnet your neighboring group. What do you observe? So the magnet either the pulled towards or pushed away by the magnet of the neighboring groups. So magnet and iron fringes and two magnets. Some magnets of iron fringes towards to each, the एंड्स ऑफ द मैग्नेट्स आइदर द अट्रैक्ट और रिपेल, यानी कि पुल करेंगे या पुश करेंगे एक दूसरे को. So this push and pull exerted by the magnet called the magnetic force. The magnet can be exerted force on iron flanges or on another magnet without the being in the contact with it. Hence the magnetic force is an example of the non-contact force. Now let's do one activity, comb and paper activity. क्या करना है, आप घर पे भी कर सकते हो. इंस्ट्रक्शन क्या है वो आप पहले देख लेते हैं. क्या करना है, pick up your combs and ask the students to rub and the comb on their hair. पहले उसको रब करके अपने हेयर के अंदर आगे आपको रखना है. देन टेक अ रब एंड द comb नियर इन अ बिट्स ऑफ पेपर. आपको कुछ इस तरह से पेपर उसके साथ अट्रैक्ट हो रहे आपको दिखाई देंगे. सो नाउ टेक अ अदर एंड द comb नियर द बिट्स ऑफ पेपर. So what happened when the rub and the comb it brought the near pieces of the paper, and when the other end the comb it is brought the near pieces of paper. So the pieces of paper are attracted towards the comb and the pieces of paper are attracted toward the comb. ये आप घर पे भी कर सकते हो. So as per the conclusion, the comb becomes the electrically charged when the rub with the hair. Such comb an example of charged body. The comb attracts the pieces of the paper when the relativity uncharged. So the force exerted by the charged body to the another charged or uncharged body, it is known as an electrostatic force. Since the combs and the pieces of paper are not connected, we can say that the electrostatic force is an example of non-contact force. Next one is a gravitational force. You can know that the balls fall in the ground when you release the from the height. Do you know how? Why? The force of gravity acts on the ball due to the which is pulled towards the ground. So the earth exerts the gravitational force on all objects on and around the it. So was there any contact between the ground and the ball this gravity act? No. There was no contact between the ball and the ground when the gravitational force were acting on the ball. So gravity is another force which does not require any contact to be applied. So hence it is also one type of non-contact force. Okay, उसको कोई contact की जरूरत नहीं होती है. Now the practice question number 3 on your supplementary book 6 3.4. Two thermocouple balls are held on a close to each other but moves away from each other when released. The name of the force which might be responsible for this. So thermocouple balls can be electrostatically charged in a similar electrostatic force to adjacent ball causes them to repel and move away. The next 3.6 is that write example of contact or non-contact force in appropriate boxes. So first आएगा contact force, उसके अंदर muscular force और muscular force pulling the nature, उसके अंदर आएगा muscular force. Next electrostatic और magnetic repulsion और electrostatic magnetic and gravitational attraction, ये चीज़ आप लिख सकते हो टेबल के अंदर एज आंसर. सो आज हमने वीडियो के अंदर जो कुछ भी क्वेश्चन आंसर करा है सारे क्वेश्चन आंसर आपको एज ए होमवर्क लिख के मुझे सेंड करने हैं. सो इफ़ एनी टाइप्स ऑफ डाउट प्लीज़ आस्क मी, आई विल डेफिनेटली सॉल्व योर डाउट. सो अभी हम आज का लेक्चर यहाँ पे कंप्लीट करते हैं. सो अभी के लिए स्टे होम, बाय, थैंक यू वेरी मच, टेक केयर, फन विद साइंस, एंजॉय द साइंस.